Hi everyone, this is Professor E. In this lecture, we're going to learn how um, to use the most frequently features in PowerPoint. So Microsoft PowerPoint is also one of the Microsoft Office applications, just like Microsoft Word, Excel, and Access. So today, we're going to, as I mentioned, we're going to learn how to use the most frequently features. So first, we need to start by opening PowerPoint. So you either type PowerPoint in the search area, and then you have the choice between either creating a blank presentation or a template. You can get one from the template. So we're going to start from blank presentation. So by default, you get this first slide. And as you can see, you have different layouts. So depending on what type of slide you want to create, we usually start with the title slide and then usually subtitle. So just an example, I'm just gonna use here, foundation of international business, just an example, okay? And then maybe a subtitle, I can use international versus domestic business. Domestic business. Okay, so that's the first slide. Okay, so of course here the Microsoft PowerPoint, the program gives you a lot of choices to pick like any type of design you want. So just gonna keep it simple. So let's start with the next slide. So you need to start or insert new slide either by clicking on new slide and then you pick the type, the layout that you want, or you can just right click. So if you right click and then you put new slide, okay? So I like to use this new slide and then you can choose the title and contents because that put the title on top and then and then as you can see, there's a lot of choices. You can sometimes put two contents. Let's start with the title and contents. I'm going to click on that. So you can put the content here. For example, I may choose um, differences between international and domestic business. Okay, and then you can center the title. And then I'm going to have bullets. And then you see you can change the type of, but just like in Microsoft Word, so you can change the type. So by default, you have the dots. So I'm going to say, for example, domestic business includes all business activities taking place within a country's borders. Okay. Then once you hit the enter key, then the next bullet comes up. And then I'm going to define international business includes all business activities taking place across countries' borders. Okay, so international business is also called, now here, since the text will be under this title, then I can just hit the tab key to show that this is like under international business is also called. So I can say, for example, it's called global business. That's another name they use for international business. Sometimes you may hear international trade. Sometimes you hear foreign trade. All of them usually, refer to the same thing. So that's how we create a simple slide in PowerPoint. Okay. Now, sometimes you may want to use a comparison between different elements. For example, I can add a new slide and I'm going to use comparison. So as you can see, you can compare two things or more than two things. Okay. So for example, I can put click to add text. I can put here the international business environments and then you center. So I'm going to use different parts. So I'm going to say, for example, the first one is um, geography. So under geography, we have, for example, natural resources. We have the climate, agricultural product, and stuff like that. Then I want to put another type, which is, for example, political and legal factors. So I'm going to mention examples of this. So let's say we have the uh, political stability. So this is under the title political and legal factor. I can say the types of governments. What type of governments are we talking about? Okay, you can also add the government policies. Okay, now let's say I want to add two more types or two more sections. So you can hit the enter key. And then you can add a different type. So you can say, for example, um, economic conditions. And then I'm going to use the bullets. So this is under a different type. So I'm going to say, for example, the economic systems. Um, you can say education, you can even add technology. So this is under economic conditions. And I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to put here uh, cultural and social factors. And then I'm going to use bullets here. As you can see, just different type. And then I'm going to say language, religion, values, and culture zones. Okay, so you can make a comparison between different sections like this. Okay, now I'm going to add another slide, and then in this slide, I'm just going to add a blank one. You know, sometimes you need the whole space, or maybe, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to leave like a, let's say I'm going to create something from shapes. So I'm going to create, let's say, uh, so we have a variety of shapes to pick from, lines, rectangles, basic shapes. We have triangles, we have rectangle, we have circle. So let me see, I can pick one. So for example, I can pick this one. So let's say I want to create something like this, okay? And then I want to compare, like I'm gonna put like maybe compare two extreme cases and something in between. So let's say I want to use this to talk or discuss the how much authority people use, like managers use. So you have the extreme left, which is autocratic, like when people basically control everything the employees do. And on the other side, when they give them, permission to use whatever they want. So that's like two extremes. And then in between, when there is cooperation between the two. Okay. So first one, I can change even the color. So I'm going to right click and then go to format shape. And as you can see right here, fill. So you can use a variety. So I can use gradient fill. So that's good because it keeps increasing. So I'm gonna put here, change the position, the brightness, transparency. Okay. And then presets. So you can choose any color you like. So for example, I can choose this. Direction. So you want it, let's say I want to use it like this. So can you see? So one color is white and then it keeps changing color gradually. So that would be very good. And then I'm going to use, in addition to this, maybe a rectangle. I'm going to use a rectangle, one on each side. So I'm going to use this and then another one. So insert. Well, I'm just going to copy this. That's an easy way. And then Control V and just move it to the side. Yeah, just make sure they are same level. Okay. And then I may change the color as well. So I'm going to put here solid color. I'm just going to use a very, let's see. Okay. And for this one, I will choose white color. Okay. So here I'm going to say this is maximize. And now I want to put the text here. So I can just right click. Let me close this and then right click and then add text or edit text. And then I can put, let's say this is maximize. Let me change the color of the text. If I go to home, I can change this one to black. So maximize. Okay. I can maybe skip a line. So this way it covers the entire area. So maximize. Okay. Maximize. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. So probably the easy way is just delete that, copy. So I don't have to type it again. Just have to change few letters. So minimize, so here I'm going to use minimize, which is a minimize and minimize. There we go. Okay. And then here I can put text. So let's put text in here, right click again. Okay, edit text. I'm going to say here a power. Okay, again, let me change the color to black. Power or authority to control others. So I'm going to increase the size. I'm going to select this and then increase the size. Okay. And then I'm going to put some text in here. So I'm going to put text, and then I can use this text box. And I'm going to use one. So this is autocratic. So when you maximize the authority, basically micromanage. So this is kind of autocratic type of management. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to use one right here in the middle. So in the middle, you don't have autocratic, you have maybe participative. And then, so we are using this just an example to show you how you can use the different shapes. And then here we have free reign. That means basically you are giving free reign management or managers. So this is free reign managers, this is participating managers, and this is autocratic managers. All right, so this is how you create, slide using these shapes. Okay, so I can change the animation of this. For example, I can start with this one first. Look, animation gives you basically the sequence. When you start to slide, which one will come first, which one next, and so on. So let's say I want the first time the slide shows up, I want it to be like this, flying. So that's the first one. And after that, I want to minimize would be the second one. So you decide what is you can put fly in here. So that's number one, that's number two. As you can see, it shows the number. And then maybe autocratic. That's flying. And then after that, I want participative and then free reign. Okay. And then after that, I want this to show. So let me choose maybe split, wipe. No, split. There we go. So now let's try it and see how it's going to look like when you use the slideshow. So if I use this, so the first time, say there's nothing in there. Once you click, so the first one shows maximize. Next one, using the flying effect. And then after that, the three types, autocratic, managers, participative managers, free reign manager, and then finally, it shows power or authority to control others. Okay? Now I can show you how to use the transition. So transition basically is between the slides. So the difference between animation and transition, animation is something within the slide, as I showed you like earlier. Now for the transition, how to move from one slide to the other and whether you want to time it or not. So for example, if I want, and by the way, before I show you that, let me show you some design. So let's say I want to use different designs. So click on design, and then there's a variety of design to pick from. By default, it applies to all of them, but if you want to apply a design for a specific slide, you can do that. But by default, when you choose a design, it applies to all of them. So let's use the transition. So let's say I want the first one between the first and the second slide. Let's say I want it to go automatically. Because see, by default, it says on mouse click. That means when you click, then it moves. Well, sometimes I don't want, maybe I'm away from the remote control, or I want it to be consistent. So I can just click on after, and then it specify how much time. So let's say maybe 2 seconds. Yeah. So that means after 2 seconds, the second one would show up. And then I'm going to do it for all of them. So to be consistent. So 2, 3 seconds, whatever, depending how much information and how much time you want to spend on each slide. Now, some slides may take more time than others. So you need to be aware of that. Or maybe sometimes people have questions. So it's very important that you try it before the day of the presentation, so there's nothing unexpected. Okay, and then the last one after 2 seconds. So now if I go to slideshow and then I run it, so you're gonna see that, see, after 2 seconds, it moves automatically to the next one. There we go. All right. So this is some of the basic features of PowerPoint. I hope you find it useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.